Hey, right. All right, knock it off. What's enough of that? Stop that now. Skiving off for 4 weeks should not be greeted with applause. Sends the wrong message.
Yeah.
Oh, boys, how are we doing?
Welcome back, Simon. Welcome back. And
Good
for
to be
those
back.
of you who just joined us,
Yay.
we are running a tad late. We apologise, but we had a lot of catching up to do. So, but Andrew, I don't know what you've done, but we're like this.
Yeah,
So
look at that. It's
should I say it's time to rock?
Swapped us all around. Scary. Go on, keep going.
That'll do. Well, welcome back, Simon.
The world. Thank you very much. And yes, hello to everyone in the chat. Hope we're all good. Missed you.
Yeah, you've been extremely missed here, Simon, and we're glad to have you back. And hopefully, you're on the mend, my friend.
Yeah, I'm on the mend. Yeah. I can say that biffoing your ribs, it's not. I don't recommend it on any level because you can't sleep. You can't sleep on the side where you've done them in. You can't sleep on the other side. So you end up sleeping in chairs, not very well. Settees is times upright. And that's quite bad.
No, couldn't imagine. Couldn't imagine that. Not for that long either. Wow, you did really well.
Well, no, that's fine. You were doing Guns N' Roses last week and the stuff, so it was, it's fine. It's like you could, and I'll just come back next week. That's perfect. I had an extra week probably when I would have been all right last week, but you had
good on you.
Two shows, and that was fine. So
good on you for coming back.
Always come back. Always come back.
Speaking about last week, we got John ZD351, Brad, who was in the on the show this time last week and the week before too.
Thank you,
John, thank you as ever for jumping on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Thanks, John, for filling in for me ably. And, for a couple of weeks, fantastic. Give me a chance to recover myself.
Get back to normal.
Yeah.
Brad, you've been busy, so that's good. Thank you, bro, for jumping on. We all have busy, hectic lives, and if we're not recovering from falls, we're busy doing other things. So thank you, Brad, for jumping on because you've had a busy weekend. So thank you, bro.
No problem. Just relocating yet again 12 months later. So
move to a secret location.
Yeah.
Witness protection program, I reckon.
It's all good. I am very tired, I will say that, but I'm glad to be here, guys, and glad to see you back, Simon. I wouldn't have missed it. So good to be back. Good to have you back.
Thank you, bro.
It's good to be back. Very good.
Simon, do you want to do a shout out? We're a little bit late. We're 7:24. So what we'll do, if that's okay, guys, we'll do a shout out, and then Simon will get you to intro the album. How do you think that's?
You
happy with that, guys?
Absolutely. Yeah, sounds fine. Yeah. Glad to get on with it. Okay, so we have Phil Byers, who's gone to see the Stranglers tonight. He's going to watch it on replay. So thanks for dropping the note in, Phil. I hope you had a good time at the Stranglers. Yeah, it should be fun. And Ellen, of course. Good morning, Ellen. Hope you're well. I hope everything's going all right in your world. And
good day, Ellen.
Yeah, John ZD. John, thank you so much for filling in for me so ably, for giving me a chance to get my ribs back in order. It's fantastic. And Arvin, good morning, Arvin. Good to see you, man. Hope you're well.
Hey, Arvin.
And the mighty Quentin, Guitar Talk Universe. Morning, Quentin. How you doing? Hope you're good.
Hey,
So that's I think that's everyone just made a comment. Arvin, yeah. Interestingly, could I say, but almost before we start, we've had 20 thumbs ups on the on the video. So thanks to everyone who gave it a thumbs up. Even though I did, that's really awesome. That's a great thing to do. So thanks for that.
And a million views.
I better give it a thumbs up as well. There you go.
And champagne corks that are ready as we celebrate going across 1 million views on the channel.
Yes,
that's
congratulations.
Not much by other people's standards, but you know, I think it's a huge achievement that you know, people have watched us for that long, and you know, that many views. I'm really chuffed about that. So well done, boys. Thank you so much.
And thank you to everyone that's been part of the channel.
Yeah,
contributed.
Everyone who watches. Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone that watches. That's
everyone who contributes. Yeah. John Conklin. You know, I put that list and I kept adding to it. It's really funny.
Past and present. Thank you so much. It's you know, everyone's contributed to the success so far. So we've got a long way to go, but we're doing really well, gentlemen. Well done.
Yes, fantastic. So well done, every guys, and as I say, for us, you know, a big achievement and stuff. Thanks.
Yeah.
So great.
Good to have you back, Simon. And like John ZD351 was very he's commented there. He's happy to do it. So if we've got any more situations where you know, we need you, John, definitely we'll give you a call. Or if there's any albums you want to do, let us know. But it's great to have you back, Simon. But we are running a tad late because of our little catch up in the green room. So maybe we should dive straight into the album.
Well, yes. So we I don't know. I've got a bit of background to Van Morrison, just to quick, and then clearly about the album itself. A bit of background about the album. And I dug my vinyl copy out of the. I must have bought this in sort of 1980 or something, because it's got like a prime cuts thing. I don't know where that came from. I don't know what shop it came from. In 1980, £3.29, kids. If you
wow.
So I've had this a long time. So I've had this about 45 years. Only 45 years. Didn't. I mean, I'll talk about a bit about when I mean, clearly I bought this. You know, when this is when I got into Van Morrison. I think in the, you know, sort of around 1980. My friend Gerard, you know, introduced me to lots of things. Van Morrison being one of them. Bob Dylan clearly being the other great singer. And kind of, I went back and I've got, you know, bought some albums, St. Dominic's Preview, and the other ones and stuff. And and then when I went to university in '82. One of my old university mates, Patrick, is from Belfast. He's a Van the Man, you know, obsessive. Still is. He wasn't. I went out with my university friends last night. Sadly, he wasn't there, but yeah, he took us to see Van Morrison. I can remember him. This is in about 1984. And he said we need to buy tickets for 2 nights, because he might not be great one night, and he wasn't. He did 15 minutes of bugging off.
Oh wow!
Yeah, the next night he was fantastic and stuff. And I've seen him a few times since, and he's been brilliant. But he hasn't done that. But yeah, he's a we was slightly renowned for, if I'm not in the mood, I'm going.
I'm out of here.
I don't know. I don't know why we thought it was funny, or kind of like countenanced it, really, because you don't think, you know, through the prism of now, you're going, well, that's very unprofessional, isn't it? We'll be doing that, so, you know, stomping off. But God love him. He's something of a maverick, and always has been and always will be, really. And, that's what makes it exciting in many ways. So,
yeah,
you know, it's fantastic. So that's kind of where I came across it, you know, the album. And clearly, you know, as I said, I bought a few of his albums. I've got them in the cover and stuff. And you know, I've not really followed him too much past his later period, more recent stuff. I just haven't really time and stuff. Good morning, Helene. How are you? Hope you're good. Nice to see you. Fantastic. Dropping by. But I don't know, Andrew, with regard to Brad, which one of you wants to go next? I don't know which order. I'll be with Andrew next. When did you come across this album, Andrew? When did you?
Oh, a couple of times actually. The first
Last
time
week,
I heard it,
yeah.
the first time I heard this album, it would have been in the late 80s, around the time when I was, discovering, Neil Young and a lot of these acoustic bands. And this album came across, my record player. And I knew a couple of the songs over time, Brad, because they became radio songs. But I suspect it was 1993, 94 when I was working with a guy, and we were having a few beers, and he put this album on, and it had been probably about 10 years since I heard it, and I remember being flipped out and freaked out by it, because it's one of those albums that I think for myself matured as I matured. I got to understand, and it's been a regular album on my playlist, Simon, for a long time, and for a lot of reasons, and we'll talk about those in the during the course of ranking the tracks. But certainly, Van Morrison, is a big figure. When you sort of dive into this electric blues kind of stuff, he figures prominently with Clapton and those guys, with the band, on that famous documentary film, The Band's Last Waltz. He's, and some of the early stuff, the Gloria version, the Gloria song that they did when he was with, was it them? Was it?
Yeah, them.
Was it
yeah.
them?
Yeah, them. Yeah.
And we've spoken about that, Brad, a few times, because the Doors did a great version of Gloria, so just a fantastic musician. And when you go and watch bands play, cover bands, that there's always going to be a version of Brown Eyed Girl or Moondance, that someone's going to do. So just a great, I don't want to give too much away, but it's just a great album.
He's off.
Yeah, no, not yet. Brad.
Mine's similar to yours, Andrew. I sort of, Van Morrison was someone I, mind you, I haven't listened to this album for a very long time, guys. So I've come in with slightly fresh ears. It's been a fair few years since I've given this album a decent spin from start to finish, at least anyway. But Van Morrison I discovered really because of that Doors connection. With the Doors connection with, Jim Morrison, and the Doors jamming with Van Morrison. We all know the story there. So, but that sort of, but me being a massive Doors fan, I found myself investigating and looking Van Morrison up and discovering this album in particular and his back catalogue. And so it would have been mid to late 90s I really got into Van Morrison. And like I said, though, especially I find because we do, these shows and we rank albums, and sometimes a lot of artists get overlooked for a long period of time because, the only listening time really I find these days is when I'm driving in my car. So that's usually taken up with my ranking album for the week. So like it has been this week, I've been driving my car back and forth to storage units, this, that, blah, blah, blah. I've been listening to this album on rotation. So it's been a few, I reckon about 5, maybe more years since I've actually given this album a spin, guys. But it's great to listen to again. So good fresh ears on it. And sometimes doing that to an artist that you haven't listened to for ages, like, Bob Marley came on the other day. So to break it up, I put his greatest hits on, and I went, oh, this is great. I've listened to this for 5 or more years at least. So yeah, it's good to rediscover artists that inspire. So, but Simon, a great album. So good pick. Thank you.
One of the things I really like is that this show particularly gives you the chance to. I mean, somebody posted on Facebook, I think it was Michael also, what was the last album you listened to? From start to finish. And the artist Moondance, is my important, because I sit down, as you can see behind me, my stereo just behind me, sit down and listen to the whole site, and it's a fantastic experience. It takes you back to when you were, I was much younger, when that was the only entertainment we had, the tellies in your rooms with iPads, and the internet hadn't been invented. We're still writing with quill pens and watching the horses go by, but and that experience, that immersive experience of sitting down and really listening to album, is I think one of the things I love about doing this show is exactly that, is I have to sit down and listen to an album, like I used to, without distractions, without without doing it in the way that I did before. I was just lying out on the parapet of my mum and dad.
Yeah,
3-4 stories up, looking at the stars.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing that to be able to go back and listen to an album and rediscover everything on it that you've sort of overlooked for many years. But it's the beautiful thing we do about this when we do rank albums is you have to listen to it from your own perspective and put it into where you would rank the songs on the album from the album flow, not necessarily against other artists. So I love how we do that. It's great.
Yes, fantastic. So I've really enjoyed listening to this. I think it has a real charm to it, and it's a kind of it's some senses it's of its time, but in other senses it's not of its time. It could be from any time, but it has a kind of those beautiful kind of 1970s. It has space, and it has kind of ability to breathe. I think it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. I'll do a quick just bit of background about Van Morrison in case people don't know much about him. And then do a quick background on Moondance. Not a huge amount, but and then we'll get into the rankings if that's all right.
Let's do it.
So born George Ivan Morrison, now Sir George Ivan Morrison. He's been knighted in August the 31st, 1945, in Belfast, of course. And he grew up in a working class family. His father worked in the shipyards, Holland and Wolff, and had the interesting part about it is his father had an extensive record collection that introduced Van to all sorts of people like Leadbelly, Ray Charles, Muddy Waters, American blues, gospel, a lot of things. And he learned to play the guitar and the saxophone and the harmonica at an early age, in that environment, which is amazing, really, because of course Belfast being a port, all that imports, a bit like Liverpool importing records sort of thing. But and we talked about this quite a lot, not recently, but reminded of it a bit for the Led Zeppelin film, that in his teenage years he started off doing skiffle. Like so many of those guys, started off playing, if anybody's seen the Led Zeppelin, that famous clip of Jimmy Page, he's about 13 on that TV program, playing some skiffle with his mates, and and that thing about, clearly one of the bases of skiffle is Leadbelly, those American, folk blues artists. So you can see that, that had a tremendous effect on Van Morrison. And then he started off like so many people playing skiffle, which is, and then leading into blues and to rock and roll. In the 60s, he had a band called Them. I'm sure which we talk about Gloria and Here Comes the Night things. But so he's in that, and they're great records and things. Gloria particularly became lots of other people. I can remember coming across. I think I probably first came across it with an English band called Eddie and the Hot Rods. They did an EP called Live at the Marquee, which if you haven't heard it, is a fantastic, sweaty, energetic 4-track EP, including Gloria and Get Out of Denver, Baby, Bob Seger song.
Yeah.
I don't remember what else is, but yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. If you've never heard it, it's a brilliant thing. And, so he then left them and embarked on a solo career, which he's been doing ever since, basically, in his own way, and clearly, his hit from '67, recorded Brown Eyed Girl, which has become an absolute covers band classic. I've played it thousands of times in our band, lots of different points. Fantastic song. And but his other albums, that blending of folk, jazz, and that poetic lyricism that we can talk about, and that coming up with what they would call the Celtic soul, with the that blend of those folk Celtic things and the horns that come from that Stax tradition kind of thing. It's been what he's done over the period. He's done albums with the Chieftains and various other people. So, one of the great artists of our time, really, I would say. But, if you don't know his stuff, go back and and investigate. I would say start here. Moondance is probably the place to start, but St. Dominic's Preview is fantastic. Astral Weeks is fantastic. Feed and Fleece is a bit more of an acquired taste. I think it's a bit more kind of mystical, rambly things, a bit more of its time, I think, maybe than some of the others. But they're brilliant, and he is brilliant. One of those artists, and we should be grateful that we lived through the same time as him.
100%.
So, just a quick background to the album. It was released in January 1970, and his third solo album, and considered by most to be one of his defining works. He'd done critically revered Astral Weeks before this, but it hadn't really sold much. But he just put together a more structured, rhythmical sound, really, and embracing a blend of R&B, jazz, folk, and soul, and infused with melody, fantastic melodies and really tight arrangements. And we could talk about that as we talk about each song. But clearly, it's that's one of the bases of this thing. It's very short, punchy, tight songs, focused on melody and stuff. And it's just it was recorded in late '69 at A&R Studios in New York, with Van producing. As I say, he got together a bunch of musicians: John Kleinberg, Jeff Labis, Gary Malaber, electric guitar, John Platana, and various people playing horns and things. And I noticed that the girl singers on it, one of them is called Emily Houston, better known as Sissy Houston, mother of one of those Houston clan. Amazing. So it had some fantastic backing singers on there. But yeah, got great critical acclaim, and I can remember it from my time of reading the NME. It was absolutely up there in the album terms with anybody else you care to mention, really. Okay, cool. That's a bit of background.
Awesome, Simon. Well done.
So we'll go me, Andrew, and then you, Brad. All right, as a order. Hopefully, I'll better remember that in 2 minutes' time.
No,
what I like about these things.
No, awesome. First track. What do we got?
Well, first track is a Van Morrison classic, really, and it stoned me. And I think that it's a nostalgic, semi-mystical song inspired by Morrison's childhood experience of fishing trips in Northern Ireland, featuring fantastic groove and those soulful hall arrangements, which really set up the album as a beautiful, as what it's going to be. It has a kind of pastoral acoustic vibe to it. It's not, it's, as I said earlier, it's kind of quite light. Instruments given a chance to breathe. They all do clearly fantastic musicians, and it was written about. He said it was written about the feelings of ecstasy received from witnessing and experiencing nature, and a narrative describing a rural setting with a county fair and a mountain stream. Recurring themes in Van Morrison songs. The elements, water, the sun, and those things. I mean, absolutely. Together with some other things we'll get to later. But, Morrison said he based it on a quasi-mystical experience he had as a 12-year-old fishing in the Comber village of Ballystockhart, where he once asked for water from an old man who said he had retrieved it from a stream. We drank some and everything seemed to stop for me, the singer recalled, adding that it induced a momentary feeling of quietude in him. According to one of his biographers, these childhood images foreshadow both spiritual redemption and and that feeling of that kind of mystical feeling where the time stops and for a few minutes and you're just there in the moment. So as I said, it starts as kind of pastoral acoustic vibe. Just starts off with acoustic piano, bass, and drums. Just kind of, and I'm gonna preempt Mr. Walton. Yeah, the bass playing on this album is just exemplary. Because Andrew, you could talk a bit more about the bass playing, but I'll just say that Jack, what's he called, John Klingberg, was only alive for about 4 years. He died in about 1980. Born in 1945, died in about 1985. But yeah, and again, that kind of call and response with the horn section when it comes in, lovely. Yeah. And as it was said earlier on, the melody is, you can sing along. You're immediately, I think, pulled in because it's a 1-4-5 trick, and Van, really singing, quite plainly about, but everything he sings, half a mile from the county fair and the rain keep pouring down, is, fairly, they're not mystical lyrics, but somehow he manages to imbue them with some kind of mystical feeling and edge to them that, with the chorus, it stoned me to my soul. So that's Van Morrison in a line, I think. That's what he does. But, fantastic, the way those horns are tight there. And beautiful piano as well, coloration, used as a coloration instrument. Elemental, with a really nice acoustic solo break. It's quite far back in the mix, but it kind of mixes in with the piano and the piano takes over.
Yeah.
That's just, thrilling song to me. I think it's a beautiful opener. That sets the tone, as we so often say, for what's going to come in the album. 100 out of 10 from me, never escape. It's more, a Van Morrison classic. It should be treated as such. So Brad score from me straight off. Yeah, not bad. Andrew, quick, get me out of this.
So Alan had a BMW Z3 Roadster.
Oh, did she? Oh,
yeah. Yes, where she used to scream down the road, blaring, "Here comes the night."
Yes. Nice one, Alan. Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Exactly what should be happening.
Great song. Great song. Thanks, Simon, for giving us some background on Van Morrison, because he's one of those key figures, and certainly as a songwriter, he's a legend, and it's reflected for me in this song. I remember, as I said in the intro, a good friend of mine, Mark Corcoran, at the time we were working together, we decided to have a few beers one night and play some pool, and he put this album on, and I remember Brad being blown away by this song. It just spoke to me at that moment, and this song was just about on a permanent rotation back on with my CD for about 3 or 4 weeks. I just love this song so much so, Simon, that I reckon this will be probably my favorite ever Van Morrison song. I just think it's incredible. Every time I hear it, it just brings back a lot of memories about different times. It has a melancholy kind of feel for me, and I like that because rock and roll shouldn't always be about that physical sort of external energy, Brad. Rock and roll music should be about giving you opportunities to reflect and contemplate and have an inward journey. And this song does it for me. I think it's incredible. What a song to open up an album with. It's just incredible. I just pinch myself still, Simon, after listening to this for about a week and a half in preparation for the show, that this is the song that he could have picked any song on this album, Brad, to open the album, and it would have been a huge, in my opinion. So I've gone one step further than a Brad score. I've given this a huge score, and it could be it could be my favorite Van Morrison song. I just think it's incredible. The lyrics, Brad, blow me away. Brad.
Yeah. Wow.
No pressure, Brad.
Made it hard to go last. Simon, I don't know why, but I wrote down it's a nostalgic opener, and it gives you like childhood experience, and it does have a mystical nature. Everyday moments is what I put. So it's funny how we've got similar minds, but we've got different opinions as well. But listening to this stuff certainly gives you, I guess, it's the whole album has like that warm, organic feel to me, and this song, it's a starting point for that. It opens the album, and for me, it's, I don't know, the vocals, Morrison's delivery, it's warm and inviting. It's effortless the way he sings, that sort of melodic phrasing he does, the storytelling vibe, and the use of dynamics. He pulls off the song with lots of emotion vocally. I love the laid back feel of the drums. It's got like a swing groove. The bass, you mentioned the bass. I think the bass playing on this track, as well as the rest of the album, is fantastic. It's a nice rolling sort of bass line, locks in with the drums, the guitars, the clean acoustic strumming, that clean acoustic sound is fantastic. That's what gives it the organic feel, in my opinion, and the warmth and the depth. And I've put here a nice little acoustic solo. I kind of wish there was more of this sort of soloing on the album, but overall, it's a fantastic addition to the record. Keyboards give you that that atmospheric thing with the organ swells and a really nice piano solo as well. There's a subtle bit of brass in there. I think it's horn section. There's saxophone or trumpet or something I'm hearing. It gives it that soulful sort of sound and texture to it. But what a wonderful way to start the record, and it does set that whole warm, organic feel for the whole album. It's a deeply expressive sound, and I gave it 100 out of 10 and never a skip, guys.
Well done. Hey, Tom.
Yeah, morning, Ben. Tom, how you doing? Hope you're good. Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah.
See you on the replay. Yeah. Do you feel a bit churlish only giving it a Brad score, not a Hugh score?
Look, yeah, I should probably readdress some of these scoring after all these years.
No. I was expecting Brad's score to be good. If Mr. Morgan goes with a Hughes score, like, blow. Maybe I've been a bit under.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
It's a masterpiece of an album.
Yes.
Yeah. I've loved living with this week and kind of really immersing myself in it. It's just been one of those albums. Could I say 10 songs, 37 minutes? Perfect. Don't be messing about with it 70 minutes, 94 tracks. Yeah, all of them, kind of 3-4 minutes. That's the first one was 4 minutes, and the second one's 4.5 minutes. It's, perfect. Tightly focused, and I think better for it, to be honest. But
yeah.
So the second track is another Van Morrison, probably a real classic. It's Moondance, the title track of the album. I'm sure everyone's heard it as a song. It clearly harks back to those kind of big band arrangements and things. The jazz stuff and the 50s, 40s, and 50s swing, and beautiful kind of acoustic thing. Started off as a jazz saxophone instrumental, basically. And you can tell at the beginning just that vamping over those two chords. Just that he plays on the piano and things. You can see that there's it's basically a vamp in there for turning it into a song. And it's interesting. They recorded it once and it came out fine. Van thought there must be a catch, so we did it about another dozen times. They ended up going back to the first one. They are. It's they had it looking for the magic, and the magic was in the first take, not in the 10th. Never quite. Yeah. So as I've said, starts off with that kind of 2-chord vamp. Again, fantastic bass playing, that kind of walking bass that becomes is a signature as much as anything else really on this track, and really makes it swing along. An album with flute on it, which is a bit few and far between. We've done Jethro Tull here, so but it gives it that kind of unique sort of folky feel to it, and his soulful kind of heartfelt, passionate, singing and the poetic lyrics and things. But it's beautifully done, and has, I think, completely rightly become an absolute classic. Great piano solo, and again the bass playing under the piano as a kind of complement to it. And that's interesting that the solos, the first two songs have where there's more than one instrument complementing doing the solos, not just a single instrument doing solo. And that kind of classic Van improvised singing at the end, the sort of vamping off on the vocals at the end. 100 out of 10, never skips a Brad score. Absolutely, it's one of his bona fide classics.
Yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah, I agree with you, Simon. It's a song that I've played with friends over the years too, and I have to agree with you. John's bass playing on this album and this track in particular is just incredible. It's a simple example of what a bass player needs to do. He's just playing those walking bass notes, Simon, as you said. He's just keeping it simple, a little bit behind the beat. We got a photo of him and some of the band photos with John, an incredible bass player. Sometimes gets buried a little bit, so I'm glad that we've taken an opportunity to talk about him a little bit, like the Derek and the Dominoes bass player, Carl Rattle. Sometimes, these guys just get forgotten a little bit, but when you listen to the context of this album, Brad, you just get blown away that this guy is a master. I watched a couple of YouTube clips where bass players were talking about this guy and how this track in particular set a lot of bass players on the path of becoming bass players, and how Nathan East in particular talks about how you want to sometimes, if you want to do too much with your fingers, go back and listen to this track in particular and just realize what you have to do as a bass player. So, it's great when other greats are referencing, tracks like this. So shout out to Nathan East, one of the greatest bass players ever. But simple song, Simon, and the magic's always in the simplicity sometimes, isn't it? It deserves its place on classic radio. It gets played here. I think the song's incredible. I've given this a Brad score. Just the two tracks, just phenomenal. Your mind's blowing, isn't it, Brad?
Oh yeah. Look, for the first two tracks of an album, it's from the first song into this song. The first song sets the mood for the record. This one sort of takes you to the next phase of just sitting back, relaxing, listening to it. It's got that, jazzy. I'm not going to repeat everything you guys have said, but it's got that sort of jazzy feel to it. A lot of swing, and there's a seductive sort of feel to the song as well. I love, the way Morrison uses that rhythmic sort of almost percussive delivery. He's matching the instrumental groove. He's phrasing reminiscence of Frank Sinatra, jazz, swing, whatever you want to call it, singer. And the drumming, it's got that whole swing feel, crisp hi-hats. I love that. And the bass, the walking bass line, you've mentioned, Nathan East mentioning it, this and that. For me, it's just a perfectly fluid bass line that suits the whole mood of the song, and it takes center stage for me, instrumentally anyway, not taking anything away from Van's voice, but it's the bass line gets you hooked in. That's where the heart and soul of this song is. The guitar, look, there's, it's got that reinforced rhythm. The piano, it's a standout, as well. It's got that sort of whole thing going on. Keeps it the piano actually gives it a slightly bluesy feel to I thought,
100%.
as well. Yeah, but it gives it that bluesy feel, and that foundation of the melody and interaction with Van Morrison's voice. And I love the little solo, the little piano piece in there. You know, the brass, the horns, look, without repeating everything you guys said, you could listen to hours and hours of like different versions of Moondance, but this is probably the best one. I've heard a lot of bands cover this. I've been in bands that have covered it, but like I said, this album's got a very organic feel to it, and the first two tracks back to back, 100 out of 10, never a skip, guys.
Well done.
Yeah, definitely. And you've got to love any song that has "fantabulous" as a word in it, don't you? In the first fantabulous night to make romance. That's just that's kind of that it's that use of words for the sound of them as much as for the meaning of them and things.
Yeah,
just lovely. Yeah, and so it's worth it. So the third track is "Crazy Love," which is just a short little stripped down ballad, really, 2.5 minutes. It's and you notice his singing is completely different on this. His vocal completely. It sounds like somebody else singing in a funny way. Apparently, he got really close to the microphone, so it was quite really intimate. And it sounds like somebody else. It's as a thing. I was reminded that it was like, and I think this is one of the cornerstones of this record, that it had a chord structure similar to The Weight by the band, and I think that those first two band albums, I feel like they're in the DNA of this of what Van Morrison was doing as a solo artist. One of those, and I know he admired. I mean, he lived in Woodstock, for a bit, and I know he admired the band. Clearly, appeared on The Last Waltz. So, and I think this particularly has got a similar chord structure to The Weight, and I think that's that band, that cohesive whole band thing, and I think as I say, is in the DNA of this record, and he took that from the band. Lovely, as I say, completely different vocal characteristic, kind of with muted instrumentation, lovely soulful feel to it, heartfelt, and the first time we have the gospel backing singers as well, the backing vocals that give it a real extra dimension. Like a lot of these records, it's about, as much as anything else, it's about the subtlety, isn't it, of the changes to change the dynamic of the flow of the record and things. And I think this is that. We've had a sort of upbeat sort of soul bit, and then we've had the jazzy Moondance, and now we've got just a kind of this emotive sort of ballad, really, about love. I gave it a 9 out of 10, but never a skip. Another fantastic track. Andrew.
Time out, mate.
You can't have everything as a Brad score. It's not fair.
No. Mate, I'm disappointed you only gave that a 9. What? Yeah, good on you. You stay there. What a love song. One of the greatest love songs ever written. And every time I hear this song, obviously a song like this is going to give you an opportunity to think back on past experiences and past emotions and past people you've known. And this is definitely one of those songs. Every time I hear it, I just think of, it's okay. We just think of people. It's a beautiful song, and you've said it, Simon. The gospel singers that comes in, and if you listen to it, it's just a little. And one of the great things about this album with those gospel singers, with the background singers, it just sits there. It's not right in your ear, Simon. It's mixed perfectly well. It just sits. It just does does some wonderful things to your ears when you hear that. And the greatest songs are always the simple songs, aren't they, Brad? Too. They don't. We don't have to have Dream Theater John Petrucci songs all the time, do we? A simple short song, Simon, you've said it, that can convey so much is the true gift of the song. And I'm stealing a little bit from that film, The Complete Unknown, where Pete Seeger says, the song, it's the song. And, you don't have to have 50 things in the song to make a great song. And this is one of those examples for me. I've got to give this a Brad score. I think it's one of the greatest love songs ever written. Miserable 9.
Oh.
Bloody hell! Someone's just come back. Give him a bill snack, Andrew.
Miserable
no quarter. Yes, song 3, and I'm already in trouble.
Oh, well, you've got company because Alan's given it a 9 too.
Risible 9.
Oh, and Helene. And Helene is okay. All right.
Oh, hang on. Oh, I misread it. 90 out of 10. That's what it was.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the new Simon score, 90 out of 10.
90 out of 10, yes. Not quite a Brad score, but very close.
Pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Crazy Love. You guys have mentioned it, everything sort of that I've got down here. It's a delicate love ballad. The simplicity and raw emotion is really evident in his vocal delivery. It's really heartfelt. It's deeply personal. You can tell. I love that minimalistic drumming. Just very minimalistic. The bass line gives a lot of warmth. It's not overpowering. The guitar, it's just reinforcing the song's tenderness. It's just doing its job. The organ, the keyboard or whatever it is, that sort of organ is sort of giving a gospel vibe. But the backing vocals are, definitely gospel inspired, in my opinion. And in the chorus, it really enhances that emotional weight of the song. You guys have kind of said everything else that I've said about the song. It does evoke a lot of emotion, Andrew, as you said, when you're thinking past and past tense and whatnot. And I'm sure we can all relate to that as well. So for me, I gave it a 9.5 out of 10.
Okay, all right.
And that's for real. I wish I could turn my screen around and show you. My notes are on. I always put my notes digitally. So yeah,
that half saved you.
Yeah, the half. Yes, I was going to say yes. The half has got you out of trouble.
Actually,
me and Ellen, we're at the gate. We're at the gates of hell.
And Helene.
Yeah,
and Helene as well. You see, we're all in the boss man's bad books now. We're all in trouble. Yeah, by Jingo lad, you're in trouble now. Oh dear. Well, boys, fantastic. So, track 4 is a Caravan, which is kind of the first half is a sort of an evocation of the gypsy life, and that kind of, again, that kind of outdoor kind of bucolic country life. And the second half is about his love of the radio, which clearly played a big part in his musical upbringing in the 60s. Apparently, it's kind of showcasing his ability to blend folk storytelling with R&B energy. The themes are about, as I've said, about gypsy life in the radio. The music critic Johnny Rogan described it as a romantic portrayal of gypsy life and a testimonial to Morrison's love of radio. And I think classic Brown Eyed Girls got reference to radio in it and things. And this is it's one of those themes in Van Morrison songs, the radio.
Yep.
Sure. From his childhood.
100%.
And I love that apparently the story goes that he could he lived out in Woodstock, where the nearest house was way down the road. He described that he could hear the radio like it was in the same room. I don't know how to explain it. There was some story about an underground passage under the house I was living in, rumors from kids and stuff, and I was beginning to think that it was true. How can you hear somebody's radio from 1 mile away as if it was in your own house? So I had to put that into the song. It was a must. So you can hear that in the second half, and it's I love the it's got fantastic horns and very much a bit more sort of upbeat from the last thing. Again, that kind of the organic, integrated feel of the band, playing together, beautifully done. Some really nice bass chord work as well in it. It's really good. And I love at the end when he's singing "Turn It Up, Turn It Up," turn up the radio, and then he sings "That's Enough." It's not solely cussed. All right, you got to 8. That's fine. So that's kind of made me laugh no end with that. It's fantastic. But one of those great evocations, another great Van Morrison song. I got 100 out of 10 from me. Brad score definitely. It's yeah. I'm getting away from the measly 9s, Brad, and running away.
We could have given it a Simon score.
I could. I guess I could have. Should have. So Andrew, over to you.
Cheers, mate. I agree with you, Jim. Jim's he's made a comment here. The song we're talking about, "Crazy Love," is a tender and it's a gentle song, and it's ruined by people like Michael Bublé. And I don't like his version either. So sometimes covers aren't always as good as the original, and sometimes you get great covers. But this is one time where, if you want to check out the original, just check out the original. Everything else pales in comparison. Caravan, thank you, Simon, for giving us the background. Go and check out Wikipedia too, folks. They give a good background on all the songs, which is really, really interesting, because a lot of albums we do don't give a lot of good background. You have to go and get books or look for articles. And it's always good when you've got a Wikipedia post that clearly has fans contributing a lot of good points to some of these albums. So that's something I like to point out, because Wikipedia can be sometimes a little bit off the mark, but they're on point with this. Simon, the bass on this track is just incredible, isn't it? And the horns as well, that and again, they just sit there. They're not, we've ranked lots of albums over the years, guys, where the horns can make a song and an album, and there's been a couple, where we've spoken about the horns have just been bad, and I can't recall those albums in my mind, but I know that we have, we've agreed that there've been some songs where the horns haven't been done well. This is perfection on this track. And I love too also how they've got Van Morrison providing his own backing vocals on this track, which is really, really cool. And Brad, the acoustic guitars, you've mentioned them before already, but I'm going to back you up. The acoustic guitars on this album, again, just nothing fancy, nothing, just obviously engineered really, really well. You can hear the notes. Fantastic. I've given this a 10 out of 10 too, Simon. And it's never a skip. Incredible song.
Only a 10?
The album's masterpiece, mate.
Yeah, Caravan. It's got a real groove sort of thing to this song, isn't it? It's got a real groove. I think it's I'm going to start with the horns. I think they're bold. That it's very well. They're well used within the song. The keyboards, the guitars. I mean, the acoustic guitar gives that earthy feel, the earthy backbone to this song and this album in particular. The bass, that's one of the, it's amazing. I think that's the most amazing funky feel. But it's perfect for the song. It hits the momentum perfectly. The drums are driving. It's got that sort of little syncopated groove. But Van Morrison's vocal is very dynamic, expressive. I just think the way he does vocals on songs, he sings for the song, and it's definitely, I'm going to have a bit of fun with this one. It's a Simon score. It's a Simon score. It's not quite a Brad score. It's a Simon score. Okay. 90 out of 100, 90 out of 10. I've got it all backwards. I can't think straight. But 90 out of it. Yeah. I'd say 10 out of 10, but I was going to have a bit of fun with a Simon score.
You're right, Jim.
Simon.
Yes, Jim. I think you're right about that. Without giving too much away. Okay, cool, fantastic. So the last track on side one is Into the Mystic, which is again another absolute Van Morrison classic. Down the years, it's that blending of folk and soul with ethereal kind of mystical atmosphere. The lyrics are about a spiritual quest, typical of Morrison's work. Bass thrums like a boat in motion, and the song comes back to water as a meaning of magical transformation. And at the very end, Van sings "Too Late to Stop Now." It's which he has an album later on in his career, "Too Late to Stop Now." And interestingly, he remarked on the song and its use as homophones lent it an alternative meaning. So he said that the song is kind of funny because when it came time to send the lyrics to Warner Brothers Music, I couldn't figure out what to send them, because really the song has two sets of lyrics. For example, there was "I was born before the wind," as in birth, born, and then it also "I was born," as in I was taken, BRNE with the thing. So you've got these two alternatives. Also "Younger Than the Sun." That was also younger than the SUN and SON, and the Bonnie Boat was one, as in WON, and AONE. So he has beautiful kind of alternative. The way it's sung, you can interpret it in two ways. It's a really good example of songs, where you listen to the song one way but actually you can listen to it another, because you don't know which one he's singing, and you can take it as both. And I think it's a beautiful example of that sort of songwriting, and those with double meanings in the best way. And, it's there's all those kind of things like "When that foghorn blows, I'll be coming here," and it goes, when the cellos make the sound of the foghorn and things. It's a magnificent, beautiful, mystical song. This song, I could never get tired of listening to it. It's it's got a fantastic melody, and it's got those lovely horns in it. Paulie Walnuts, good morning. How you doing? Very good. Thanks for dropping by. Fantastic.
Hey, Paul. Good to see you, bro.
Late night in the US. So thanks for staying up, Paulie. So as I say, one of his absolute bona fide classics. A huge score from me. It's there's no, it's, as I say, I never get tired of listening to it. I never get tired of hearing it as a fantastic song. Andrew.
I just want to do a shout out to Paulie again. Good to see you, bro. Thanks for jumping on. Go and check out Paul's YouTube channel, folks. And if you are a member of our 5150 Facebook Van Halen group, you'll see some links there to Paulie's Facebook group as well, where he posts a lot of Van Halen stuff there on his Facebook group. So go and check him out. Well worth keeping up with what Paulie's saying regarding things Van Halen. Brad, we'd like to share things on this channel.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Look, Simon, I have to agree with you. One of the great things that I love, and we speak about this often, well, I certainly do. love the way that these English guys and these British guys and these Irish guys can take words and just with their lyrics, just give us so much to think about, so much to ponder, so much just to to try and work out. We had it a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about Rambling On by Led Zeppelin, and a young Robert Plant, writes these lyrics about, doing what English people do, like going for a ramble, Simon, just going, and it's just that a ramble is just a walk in the country, and on this album here, you're seeing similar things being discussed. And one of the great things that I love about Van Morrison too is that in his albums, in his music, he's contemplating in a lyric way, and in lyrics, not over intellectualizing it, but a spiritual journey, spiritual quests. And this guy's doing it incredibly well with this song. What a way to end. And Jim said it, this side is just incredible. What a way to end an album. And then you flip it over and you got to listen to side two. Holy,
it's funny.
Holy shit!
There's a rock critic, called Mark Ellen, who does Word in Your Ear stuff, and I know up until about a few years ago, he'd never listened to side two of the band's album, The Band.
Really?
The first time he said, I've never listened to side two. Side one is such a perfect side. I never actually flipped it over and listened to side two.
He needs to do himself a favour.
I know. I think he might have done since then, but he did say, I don't know for effect, but he did say, I've never listened to side two that I can remember. Just side one is so brilliant. I just stick with side one.
Well, if anybody wants to take the lazy way out and just listen to side one on this album, you'd be better for it, Brad and Simon. If you were going
to be disappointed, would you?
yeah. Your understanding and appreciation of music and singing and songwriting and the production of an album, you'd never be disappointed. So 10 out of 10, Brad. Sorry, bro, I've got to hand it over to you.
Into the Mystic. I mean, you guys have said about the it captures that mystical sort of ballad, the spiritual transcendence vibe within the song. Definitely, listening to this album again this week after being such a while since I've given it the time of day, to be honest with you, is how emotive his vocal performance is on this song. There's a lot of passion in the choruses. The groove is there from the bass and the drums together. That urethral sort of acoustic playing on the guitar, it's beautiful. The church-like feel, the organ chords, and for me, the one thing that stood out, I love the tambourine. I don't know if you guys picked up in the tambourine. It's just fantastic the way they bring the tambourine in. Guys, I can't really say too much more than what you guys have already said. It's been a really, really wonderful experience listening to this album. Again, this is one of the best songs on the album as well. Gave it 100 out of 10, never a skip.
Wow.
No, absolutely. No.
Okay.
And as you said, as Jim said, it's a Brad score side, isn't it? It absolutely is.
Yeah.
We'll show some pics, but well done, bro. Well done for picking this album, Simon. I know that we've been discussing this album, picking this album it's been on the list for a couple of years. So yeah,
yeah, just in case we start running out.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's funny albums.
Guys, before we show some pics, I've just done a little video regarding the 1 million views. Can I play it? It's not that long. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this is the channel dashboard here. Got some stats going on. And the most important stat, I suppose, is this one here, new achievement, 1 million views. And our subscribers at the moment. What's really interesting about this stat here is that it is 1 million views there. I suspect this includes the stats for the shorts, because if you have a look here at the front public part of the website, which gives you all the contact details, etc. When we joined YouTube back in September 2011, you can see the views here, 943. Yeah, so, but we're going to go, obviously, we're going to go with YouTube stats there. So welcome to the channel, folks, if you're watching this for the first time. And if you are a long-time subscriber and supporter of our channel over the years, thank you for setting this little goal for our channel, 1 million views. Thank you. Means a lot. For our channel, 1 million views. Okay, so the reason why I did that, guys, I got a couple of messages from people saying, why are you advertising? I won't name who they are. Why are you advertising that you guys have got 1 million views when you're short? And I went, oh, okay. So I went and had a look. So I'm going to go with the analytics that we get from YouTube, and you guys have seen it there yourself. So it's nothing we're making up. It's nothing the channel's making up. So, if people want to think that we're making that up, well, you've just seen there that YouTube have given us a new achievement thing there. So not made up.
Could I say, Andrew, when you made that, the views on the site were 946,000. They're now 976,000. So they've gone up 30,000 in about 4 days.
Yeah.
So we'll certainly be getting there on just without the shorts. That shorts is just with the views, I think. So we've clearly had a lot of views in the last couple of weeks, and we've got to 11,000 subscribers. I noticed as well, which is fantastic. So brilliant. Thanks to everyone who subscribed, watches. Brilliant.
11,000 with 4 over. So we won't do a big deal until, because as we know, people unsubscribe. People unsubscribe.
For some reason, when you boast on this channel, people
it'll go back down again. Yes, that's right. It's fine. Don't worry, we take a screenshot of now, and that's what we're running with as a baseline.
They do resubscribe later, but it's just weird how that happens. Anyway.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make that clear, because we had a couple of messages come our way that we could have been making that up, but we're not.
Andrew, I don't want an answer from this, but why would someone feel the need to question something you? I don't know. Don't answer. Don't answer. Don't answer.
Funny. That's kind of funny, isn't it? Yeah, I think you'll find that on your page it only says 946,000. I don't know how you can count that as 1 million.
Exactly. That's exactly the message.
I think you'll find.
Lord, give me strength.
All right, I'll show some pics. So
not real world. Not real world.
Just want to remind you folks that we have a merch store attached to the channel, so go and check that out if you want to support the channel. We do get some kind of kickback on that, so keep that in mind. We appreciate you doing that if that's something that you want to do.
Yes.
Yeah, if you all
Here's the
buy a
album
t-shirt,
cover.
we can get the villa in the south of in Italy coming right up.
Yeah. Well, we're desperate. We want that. Van Morrison, Moondance, the album cover. Always loved the album cover. Thought it was really, really cool. Got that Van Gogh kind of look, feel to it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure
Van
does.
Morrison, Van Gogh. Yeah.
So this is from the
is.
same period, Simon, from leading up to the release of the album and just after. So because there's a lot of stages during Van Morrison's career, you know, obviously. So he's looking pretty cool there.
Yeah.
Chisel the beard, yes.
There's the bass player that we've been talking about, playing a P bass, Richard.
John Klingberg.
John Klingberg. And there he is there. John Klingberg's the guy in the front there with the cigarette. And that's the band, as I understand, Simon and Brad, that toured this album.
Yeah.
And I went and checked out a couple of reviews, and everybody was a little bit like the Allman Brothers. You know, had a reputation for being a hot band. This band had a reputation for being a hot band too. Everybody was on form.
Yeah.
Yeah, complete. Yeah, yeah.
Van Morrison, 70. So that's while he's recording the album. And here's a couple of pics from some videos that I got off YouTube.
Right.
Tight band. Everyone's close together.
Yeah.
Literally tight.
Yeah.
Looking pretty cool.
Looking pretty sharp.
Yeah.
And see with his guild, Brad.
Yeah, beautiful guitar. Beautiful.
Thanks, Simon.
Fantastic. Nice. And thanks for pulling the pictures together. I am rubbish at doing the pictures. I apologise. Brad always does them. You're always really good at it. And I think to myself, on Thursday, I think, oh yeah, pics. And then I get distracted and forget. So
okay.
Thank you so much, Boss Man, for doing the pics. I hold my hands up. I am rubbish at doing the pics. Dear me. One day it'll come. I'll get it all together. But that's fine.
That's all right, Simon. You've had an excuse, you know.
Bloody rubbish excuse.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. And so yes, we arrive at side 2.
Yeah.
And first track on side 2 is "Come Running," which is described by Van as a very light type of song, not too heavy. It's just happy-go-lucky. But you know, it has some. A guy called Hinton had found the song sentiments very akin to a Bob Dylan song, "I'll Be Your Baby Tonight." He argued that "Come Running" juxtaposes the images of unstoppable nature, wind and rain. You know, that elemental thing that passing train against which human life and death are played out in their little games, in which the narrator and his lover's dreams will not end, whilst knowing, of course, that it will. I mean, it's a lovely, upbeat, jaunty tune. Great piano, horns, and a swinging bass, and it's as Van says, it's much it's a much lighter song than lots of stuff on side 1, but it has a kind of energy and a thrill to it, and that again that kind of that mystical edge to it that imbues so much of Van's work and stuff. So I give this a 10 out of 10. And never a skip. I think it's a really good opening to side 2. and a really good contrast to Into the Mystic as well. And I think that that we talk about dynamics and all sorts of things, and and programming on here, and I think it's it does a fantastic job opening side 2 after Into the Mystic. Andrew.
Yeah, I agree with you, Simon. If you were blown away, Brad, by side 1, get ready for side 2, because this song especially is just amazing. I again, there's a little bit going on this track, Simon. You got the fantastic piano on this, which just sits there, and it's fantastic. It's like it's not quite boogie woogie, Brad, but it's just it's a pace off it, it's a beat off it, but it's playing wonderfully well there, and horns on the chorus, Simon. Which is really, really good. I like that. The thinking about the production, and I think that's deliberate. Because this is 1970, and as the rock professor likes to remind people, we're not looking or listening to a streaming thing. It's not a CD, Brad. The albums are really, really crucial, and we've heard, for the likes of Jimmy Page talk about that recently too. Everything was determined, pre-planned where it goes, and so why wouldn't it be on this? This is clear evidence that some thought's gone on to it. Dovetails into the last song on side 1. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Come running. I've got here, it's the vocal that Van Morrison sings is matching the pace of the song, the way his delivery is there. It's got a nice snappy drum beat. It's locked in tight. The bass is driving. The rhythm strumming on the guitar reinforces the song and the percussive energy of the song as well. I put here piano lines, add nice movement, and the horns, again, like you mentioned, Andrew, they kind of provide that rhythmic stabs and give that sort of dynamic. Without repeating too much of what you guys already said already, I gave it a 10 out of 10 and never a skip, guys. Simon.
Yeah, so it's a really cool contrast, isn't it, to what you've had before and stuff. And I think that's really important in programming an album, that you have to have the light with the shade and stuff. And I think this is very much the light and the shade. And I absolutely, going back to it and listening to it again, because side 1 is so powerful with us, fantastic. You kind of forget, and so I think it's a fantastic contrasting way to open side 2. So, good stuff. So second track on side 2 is These Dreams of You, which is again kind of bluesy, playful song with a kind of shuffle groove, isn't it? And kind of that kind of walking bass that's fantastic. Band plays a bit of harp on it as well, bit of harmonica. Nice, and it's got an organ on it, in the chorus so the horns are doing a chord response. You've just got the organ providing a bit of coloration in the chorus, which is great because you've not really had much, we've had piano but no organ on it before. Fantastic melody as well. Not really great sax solo, and again those kind of vocal dynamics that Van does, as well as anybody. I think just proves what a fantastic singer he is. And I've written, who else would sing "Hushabye" as a kind of word? I think that those kind of colloquial, kind of almost folky things that that go into his lyrics and stuff. It's fantastic, and I love those. I love those things, and I think they give them little things that give them a character and make them stand out, and stuff. So I gave it a 10 out of 10 and never a skip. It's a lovely song, and I really enjoyed it. Andrew.
Thanks, mate. Hey, Gretch, good to see you, brother. Thanks for jumping on. I'm not going to add too much to what you've already said, Simon. The rhythm section on this track is just fantastic, isn't it? And the harp, really nice to have that harp there. And again, it's just delicately poised, behind everything. It's not ear-piercing, Brad. Sometimes, the harp, can do that, but it's just there. And I think you said it before, Brad, when you were talking about the piano, just offering some little stabs of momentum there, just with what the piano was doing. I think that's what the harp's doing on this track, just adding little stabs of momentum without being too harsh. And the guitars, again, the beautiful guitars, the acoustic work, you can hear clearly something has been gone on behind the scenes to capture that warmth. These guys were doing it really, really well back then, and it was all analog, Brad.
All analog, no digital, no real tricks of the studio. It was all done organically by the musicians.
Play it, record it, play it back. How does that sound? That sounds good. Play it. Okay. All right. So the guitar is roughly about 300 millimeters away from the mic. So we'll keep it moving forward around within this vicinity. That's how they were doing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's all trial and error and just playing the actual stuff. Yeah. So what did you give it again, Andrew? What did you give it?
10 out of 10, bro.
Yeah, very cool. Sorry, mate. I was listening, but These Dreams of You. I do like the bluesy vibe to this. It's got a bluesy edge there. I've mentioned the harmonica gives a subtle blues edge. Little saxophone solo. I found that was pretty cool. I do, mirror what you were saying about the guitar, Andrew, the acoustic guitar. The bass line and the drums in this have got a real solid bluesy sort of groove, in my opinion. It's got a, I hate to say it, it's got like a bit of a shuffle groove going on there. It's something there. It's got bouncy feel on the bass. It's pretty cool the way it's done. Van Morrison, he's a bit playful on this one with his vocal, and obviously a little bit of humor to the lyrics and whatnot. I gave this a 9.5 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. I hope that doesn't get me a timeout. 9.5. Yeah.
Well. Yeah. Oh dear. Stop messing about and come back right now.
Yeah. Work to be done.
Yeah, fantastic. So the next track is Brand New Day, which is a kind of gospel tinged ballad, and with heartfelt lyrics and stuff of typical Van Morrison stuff. He described it as his inspiration for the song. He says it expressed a lot of hope. I was in Boston having a hard job getting myself up spiritually. Then one day this song came on the radio, and it had this particular feeling, this particular groove, and it was totally fresh. It seemed to me like things were making sense. I didn't know who the hell the artist was. Turned out to be the band. I looked up at the sky and the sun started to shine, and all of a sudden the song just came through my head. I started to write it down, right from When All the Dark Clouds Roll Away. The song was either The Wait or I Shall Be Released. So again, that kind of DNA of the band, sort of coming through. And this song, it has lots of those elements about dark clouds and sun and things. And I love the sort of the internal rhymes that he has. I've been used, abused, and so confused, and long time hurt and thrown in the dirt, and those sorts of things. I love those. I love that. So I think that's fantastic. But, and he, when he sings that thing about eases me and it pleases me and it satisfies my mind, and it's it's spiritual and with that kind of mystical edge as well, that I think make this a beautiful song. And again, it's got acoustic bass, drums, and piano. That's how it starts off. But you've got a bit of electric playing some bit of lead lines underneath the nice vocals with the backing vocalist doing their call and response stuff, and you've got a verse with the backing vocalist as well. But you know, and then say that really nice electric guitar that plays with the sort of underneath the singing, and that kind of here it comes, and then that accompanied by that emphasis from the band. You know, there's a stop kind of thing when he sings that, and they all do it. So it gives it a great emphasis. I gave this 100 out of 10. Never a skip. That's a classic Van Morrison, beautiful song. Andrew.
Brand New Day, Simon.
Yeah, every day.
Well, one of the great things that I like about Van Morrison, and I've read a little bit about him over the years. One of the great things that he has as a songwriter and as a musician, Simon and Brad, is that even though he was born into a Protestant family in Ireland, he didn't get caught up because of his family background too much in that entrenched division, that Ireland had for a long, long time between Protestants and Catholics. So he wasn't bound by, I think, I can't prove it, but he wasn't bound by a sectarian outlook. And I think that's reflected a lot, Simon, in his songwriting, especially now during this period of his life where he's on a road of self-discovery. He was allowed to, in his home life, to sort of go out there and make your own investigations. And, I think that's a pretty good thing. You have to have rules when you're growing up in a household, but being able to be able to go out there and do that sort of reflected, I think, a little bit in this part of his life. And this is one of those songs that does it for me. I think I'm convinced of it. The music is beautiful. You got a bit of electric guitar going on here, Brad, on this track.
Yeah.
First time we've got it. The background vocals, it's just fantastic. Again, it's an incredible song. I too, Simon, have given this a 10 out of 10. It's an incredible song, Brad.
It's a fantastic song, Brand New Day. Is it like a slide guitar that I'm hearing, or is it like pedal steel, or what is it? I'm not familiar.
I don't know if it's slide, bro. I don't know. It could. I don't know.
I couldn't really.
I don't think it's not a pedal steel. I don't think, Brad. Nobody's credited. My assumption is that it's some sort of electric guitar. I don't know whether he's playing slide guitar or not. But,
anyway, that was something that I picked up, and I thought that was very interesting. And the way it's done is so subtle. It's fantastic. Van Morrison sings deep conviction, almost, preacher-like, really. I love the bass and the drumming. It's the drums are soft, and the bass playing it's got that slow sustain sort of bass line going on. There's a gospel-y sort of piano thing going on there, and the backing vocals, really soulful harmonies. It's got a lot of spiritual sort of feel about it. I guess spiritual renewal is the word that I've written here. And I gave it 9 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. Hope that doesn't time me out. Yeah,
certainly not.
9 out of 10, never a skip. But I really enjoyed it. Yeah. 9's a good score. What am I saying? 9. What am I saying? 9's a good score. It's just Andrew's got me scared now for ranking something.
Lovely, fantastic. So the penultimate track is a track called Everyone. Again, an optimistic kind of folk-driven song with a buoyant melody and that kind of whimsical arrangement. Got a harp, was it a clavinet? Isn't it? It's a clavinet that he plays at the beginning. A kind of, first of all, I thought it was a harpsichord until I went and looked, but it gives it that kind of, yes, that kind of sort of medieval kind of, Baroque kind of, classical feel in the sense of just the sound of the clavinet and the way that what's being played. And again, with the acoustic and different acoustic vocals and bass and drums, some lovely flute playing and alto sax playing as well. And it's kind of jaunty, isn't it? It's kind of upbeat and it's kind of cheerful. and it's I have this vision of sort of people doing kind of formal dancing in a large room, kind of that kind of medieval, Henry VIII Greensleeves thing, or whatever, in a funny kind of way. Again, the lyrics talk about winding streams and that sort of thing, and bucolic, and but also talking about come and play the pipes and drums,
Yep.
as that harking back to those times. Just to he said, Morrison said it's a song of hope. That's what it is, and I'd agree with that, and I'd give it a 10 out of 10 and never a skip. It's again, that clavinet thing just gives it a contrast that you haven't had before, and just opening it up, don't you? And it's the penultimate record on the album, and it's still a really great song. So, which I feel the need to point out to every possible moment. But, yes, 10 out of 10 for me, and never a skip. It's fantastic. Andrew.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Look, it's a fun song, isn't it? Great musical elements, Simon, that you've already mentioned. The flute, the clavinet, it's great. The image that you've painted there for us about a medieval kind of get-together is fantastic. It's right on the money. It's kind of a song, maybe, Brad, that oh gosh, he's the guitar player from Pink, from Deep Purple.
Richie Blackmore.
Yeah. It's probably a song Richie Blackmore wishes that he would have wrote.
Blackmore's Night. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that kind of medieval thing. Yeah,
because he likes that kind of stuff, now. So who knows? Oh, look, it's a great song. Clearly not serious. And it's a great song on a masterpiece of an album. I've given this 9 out of 10, but it's never a skip, Brad.
Yeah. I'm just looking at my notes here. I've got it's got a bit of a Celtic feel, but you're right about the Blackmore's Night now sort of feel. I'm hearing it.
Absolutely,
Now I'm going to listen to it in a whole different light, I think. I think it's a light-hearted sort of vocal delivery. The drumming, very simple, marching sort of thing, playful bass. The acoustic, emphasize sort of rhythm and is it flute? I'm hearing flute, predominant flute melody, given the Celtic sort of character. I gave it 9 out of 10 and never skip, guys. Just really don't want to repeat everything you guys have said about, but it's it feels like a bit of a playful song for me. Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah. Which you need on an album, you need that there.
Oh no, completely. Yeah, you need to have the contrast, don't you? The light with the shade and stuff. Absolutely. Let's see. So the last track on side 2 is Glad Tidings. That's a kind of reminded me quite a lot of the chorus has that kind of brown-eyed girl thing, doesn't it, with the la la las, very that kind of
nailed it.
Back to that. Yeah, that seems to be. Why not? If you're going to steal from the best or yourself.
Yep.
I'm not. It's a thing. Again, that kind of drums and guitar and a bass. They lay down that kind of brisk tempo, don't they? It's got great horn section on it as well. So again, it brings it back to the elements that we started with the horns and and the acoustic, mainly acoustic elements. Interesting, with the acoustic guitar, and stuff. As I've said, the chorus is like Brown Eyed Girl. Why not? And you've got an organ filling out the sound on it as well, and and that guitar that plays kind of lines similar lines to that you do in Brown Eyed Girl is the thing. So, as I say, referential stuff is it's again it's just a great song, and some lovely R&B type horns and stuff, stacks horns and things. 10 out of 10 for me, never a skip. It's to me this has been like a perfect album in many ways, for and one of his real high points, Van Morrison, completely. Andrew.
Yeah, I won't repeat a lot of what you said about the song, Simon, other than the vocals on this incredible bit of reverb on the vocals. Really like that. And the nice driving rhythm section, Brad, pushing the song forward. I really like that, Again, just something completely different from the first track, that opened the album. And you just look back and go, wow, what have I just listened to? And it's a perfect album. I've given this 10 out of 10, Simon. What an album, Brad.
Last track, Glad Tidings. I mean, it's high energy closer for the album. It's got a Motown inspired sort of thing going on there. To me, it sounds like that. Van Morrison's delivery vocally is, there's a lot of energy there. There's a slightly, I can't think of the word, but he's definitely put himself into the song. Tight, punchy drumming and syncopated bass. The guitars, the horns, the horns with the stabs gives it that sort of that feel that I think it gives it that Motown feel with the bass line, that syncopated bass line. It's a great closing song to the album. You guys have mentioned, Andrew, you mentioned it, saying that, from the first song to the last song, you're like, what have I heard? Again, I've listened to this and I thought to myself, what a fantastic album to have not heard for such a long period of time. So I definitely need to give this album more attention and more Van Morrison moving forward over the next, year or so. 10 out of 10, never a skip, and a fantastic album, Simon.
Yeah, I'm glad you've enjoyed it. It's as I say, it's it is a particular thing, but I think that the elements that we've talked about of the kind of mystical lyrics and the that the Celtic soul sound, the combination of the kind of folk thing and those stacks, horns but the jazz elements as well make it a unique album. And he's always has been and continues to be a unique visionary talent, Van Morrison. I think that this is a very accessible entry into his catalogue for people, because the songs are tight, focused, lots of melody, fantastic singing, lot of great tunes, and I mean, clearly, the the critical reception of the time, as was definitely, has underpinned that when it first came out, and it was a big success for Van, and and lots of the tracks on particularly on side one have endured, and lots of people have covered, Into the Mystic, Moondance, and It Stoned Me, are all just stone cold classics in the Van Morrison catalogue, and but as I say, that maybe we get into some of his other stuff. He does clearly longer, more rambling kind of mystical songs that a little, take a little more getting into. But this to me is the perfect entry for Van because of those elements. So thank you for indulging me. It's been a fantastic week listening to that.
Yeah.
No problem, mate. It's been a pleasure having you back, but I just have to echo, I'm going to pass it on to Brad, but I have to echo everything that you said, Simon. I was really excited when you picked it because I do listen to this album regularly, Brad. So I'm glad that you've locked onto it, bro. For a lot of reasons. And the guy captures, an important part of rock and roll history for us. That 1970, that's an important period in music history for what we do on this channel, guys. It's bridging, that late 60s stuff, Brad, to some of that great stuff in the early 70s. And he provides a lot of opportunities for a lot of songwriters to sort of fall back on, and a lot of musicians and guitar players talk about Van Morrison. Eric Clapton just teamed up with him a couple of years ago, and they came out with a song called Rebels, and Eric Clapton's just talking about how it was just great to hang out with Van Morrison, you know, and relive what these guys were doing in the late 60s and early 70s, Simon.
Yeah.
Oh no, completely. Yeah. You know, and this is right there on the cusp of that moving into, you know, into album territory, and you know, producing albums as Cozy Foles. As Jim says, only 56 years old and sounds as fresh as if you'd recorded it yesterday. And the timeless quality to it. Fantastic.
100%.
Yeah. And
Brad, you
know,
got some final
all the
words,
best
bro?
records do, don't they?
Oh, you know, like it's I think it's definitely an organic sort of sounding record. I love, obviously there's a bit of a mix of like jazzy shuffles and Moondance. It's got a bit of a general flow of different musical styles, but still have that organic feel. Showcases a real good blend of, you know, rhythm, melody, and soul. I think that album's a very important album for music history. You know, moving forward, like from 1969, 1970 to where music got to in the 80s and 90s. It's one of those pivotal records, I think.
Just imagine being
yeah.
the record the record executive, and then listening to the first tape on this album.
Yeah. That's
You know?
so yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, and so something of a contrast to a Guns N' Roses last week, I feel.
Yeah, well,
Skip about on this channel.
That's the beauty of the show, and we try to, it's great.
Yeah,
Brad, you've got the pick for next week, bro. So we look forward to you deciding what you've got. I don't know if you've got anything in mind now that you want to share with us, or do we have to just wait until you drop something?
I'll drop it. I'll drop it in my Instagram story so to get people checking it out.
Cool.
But what I'll do is I'll let you guys know probably tonight or tomorrow. I'll finalise it, and you can push it next week, Andrew, Monday or Tuesday next week.
Cool. So if you haven't already subscribed to Brad's Instagram for that information, it's Brad Cook Music, easy peasy Japanesey. The Rock Professor's back on board at Simon Williams 33. John ZD351 Music, our co-host here on the channel, is at ZD351 Music. You can go and follow John there. And also another good friend of ours, Zach Zedris. We need to do a shout out to Zach because he has he's got his own guitar, bro.
Bellman built him a couple of guitars, and he's an endorsee now, so that's great. Well done.
Yeah,
yeah, that's brilliant.
So very proud moment. Very proud moment, Zachy. Well done.
You see the success you can get by appearing on this show. People
yes. We're all waiting for our own endorsee.
For our endorsed guitars and stuff.
That's right.
You're the only one who deserves an endorsed guitar. I certainly don't.
I'm sure we'll
So go and check Zach out on his Instagram. So it's pretty easy, Brad, isn't it? It's Zach, ZAKK _Zedris. So go and check him out over there. If he doesn't friend you, send Brad a message, and Brad will get you in because he's got a private page, and he doesn't just allow any riffraff following him.
Me.
That's like Simon.
Yeah, it's like me. Yeah, yes, I need to vet people carefully.
yeah. Brad will get you in.
I might know the password. I didn't say that. I'm joking.
Yeah, you've got to whisper it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. No,
Simon, you want to do a shout out?
Yeah, I'll do a shout out to everyone. So great to see everyone. It's great to be back, and thanks for all your kind words and stuff, guys. It's fantastic. So, Gret Zeppelin, Jazz Thunder 50, Jim, Ellen, of course, Helene, fantastic. John, ZD351. Thank you again, John, for stepping in for me at short notice and doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Who else have we had? We've had Bent Tom. We've had Arvin, of course. Thanks, Arvin, for dropping by. Good to see you. Paulie Walnuts as well. Thanks, Paulie. Going further up, scrolling. I don't want to miss anybody. So yeah, Ben, Tom, thanks, Tom, for dropping by. Hope you're all right. Get up the top. Phil Byers, of course, was first in with his off the track. We hope the Stranglers was good. Phil? Yes, so I think there's everyone. Oh, and Quentin has guitar at Universe as well. Thanks for dropping by, Quentin. Good to see you too. And yeah, so thanks everyone. No, fantastic to be back. And what a great album we did.
Yeah, welcome back, Tom.
Boss. Yeah, we'll see. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week for more of this nonsense.
Yeah.
Take care, all. Have a great week. Listen to Van Morrison. Yay!